Twins of Reddit, what's your embarrassing story involving your twin's partner? My mom is an identical twin. She and her sister were always dressed alike and hated it, so one year for Halloween my grandpa took my mom costume shopping and my grandma took my aunt. When they got home they were so excited to show each other their costumes, but when they came out of their room they were wearing the same thing. My twin and I did the exact same thing on multiple occasions. Years ago I dated a twin out of a set who often didn't get along. They went to the same college, started out in very different majors, both ended up in EE. By graduation they were dead set on leading separate lives, so they didn't tell each other where they were interviewing. First day at his new job several states away, my twin was shown to the cube where his desk was. 6 feet away sat his brother. Another oddity, they each had an extra nipple, and when standing side by side, arms around each other's shoulders, it looked like there should be a third person between them. My ex was once scrolling through FB and said, "You look really hot in this photo." It wasn't me. Who was it in the photo? I have been married to an identical twin for 10 years. I have been on Facebook for the entire time. Facebook always tries to tag her twin sister in any photo I have ever posted of my wife. Every single time. Never once has it suggested my actual wife. Like WTF. Wouldn't FB algorithm figure it out by now? Ooh, that kinda burns. I feel like with most identical twins, one is just slightly more attractive. She saw that photo and thought, wow, he looks particularly good in this photo. I'm not a twin, but my mom and aunt are identical twins. As they've gotten older I think they are more distinguishable, but from behind most people think they look exactly the same. My aunt and uncle were round for dinner and my aunt was in the kitchen preparing some food when my stepdad came in, hugged my aunt from behind and kissed her neck. All my aunt said was, "Wrong sister." Everyone thought it was hilarious, but my stepdad was very apologetic and embarrassed for a long time. LMAO. My dad was dating a woman for a while that was a twin, and the first time we went to her house for a family gathering, Mother's Day, the twin was standing by the door, and when we walked up my dad hugged her and said, "Hey babe," and was about to kiss her and she was like, "Whoa, wrong person." He knew. Not a partner, but a woman was asking my twin if we feel each other's pain. It gets a bit boring being asked the same questions, so I guess he wanted to mix it up. He said no, but he knows when I'm having an orgasm. She said, "Really?" To which he relied, "Yeah, I'm kneeling in front of him when it happens." A friend of mine has twins. She asked them basically the same question. One punched the other in the arm and said, "Nope. I feel fine." I like when people see me and my twin together, they always ask, "Are you guys twins?" My favorite reply is to say, "No, I honestly just met this guy while shopping today and we hit off immediately." Sister reference. The only appropriate response. I fancied a twin in high school and couldn't realize why in one class she spoke to me yet in another didn't know what the fug I was on about. It took me 4 months and just bumping into them both on the walk home and I literally went, "There's 2 of you." I've done the same thing. Except I thought there was only one. I asked the wrong one out. Got slapped. Then the other one helped me home because she hit my eye. And I kinda faked not being able to see. Dated her for the past 3 years. I'm too young to propose though. In 2 years I'll be ready. My college roommate did this to me for months. I'd run into him on campus, tell him something and he'd never remember talking about it. Came home and there he was with his identical twin brother who lived in another dorm hanging out. Never said a word about having a brother or a twin. They thought it was hilarious while I beginning to think I was imagining these conversations. This is actually my friend's story. She went to see a play at a university with her identical twin. His sister said that there was a shortcut to the theater by cutting through some class building. My friend didn't think that made sense, but her sister seemed confident about it, so she followed along. Then suddenly her sister opens a classroom door and says, "Let's go in here." My friend goes inside, and freaks out when she sees a bunch of paintings of what looks like herself, completely naked. It turns out her sister had posed nude for an art class, and thought that would be a fun surprise. This sounds like how Phoebe's twin Ursula does porn. Sounds more like something out of a nightmare if you are insecure at all. That sister fully embraces the devil on her shoulder. Mr. Clark. I grew up in a small town where if you were walking down the road and your neighbors were outside, you smiled and waved. For years, I would take walks as a kid, smiled and waved all the time to a dear old gentleman, Mr. Clark. I was sad when I learned he passed away. He was well liked in the community. A couple of weeks after he passed, I went for a walk. As I approached his house, I saw a familiar face. It was Mr. Clark. Mr. Clark was dead. A chill went through me, I felt frozen but yet able to walk. I felt sheer terror. In that second, it was confirmed. Ghosts are real. But no one would believe me, so I kept it to myself. For a couple of weeks, I saw Mr. Clark in his yard a couple of times and I hurried on by his house as fast as I could. That feeling of sheer terror always at the surface. Mr. Ghost Clark was a little off. He didn't smile, he didn't wave. I couldn't take it any more, so I mentioned Mr. Clark to my bestie's mom, who lived 3 houses down from Mr. Clark. Mr. Clark was a twin. The happy twin passed and the curmudgeon Clark was still alive and kicking. I will never forget the feeling of nearly losing my bowels the first time I saw Ghost Clark after he passed. I will also never forget the laughter my friend's mom couldn't hold back when I told her my ghost story. This is delightful. Edit, my first silver, dot for delighting in someone's absolute terror. Thanks, kind stranger. Curmudgeon. Upvoted purely for teaching me this word. Plus, good story. Ghost Clark. My grandpa has a twin brother, and they look nearly identical even now in their late 70s. My mom told me that when I was a toddler we were at a family reunion. Apparently my grandpa was holding me and talking to my parents, and then his twin brother walked up to us and my reaction was to say, stunned and wide-eyed, 2 grandpas. I must have been really happy to have not one, but 2 amazing grandpas to interact with. Edit, added missing us. I love that instead of being confused you were happy for double the grandpas. My sister went up to my grandma's twin at a family reunion and asked, Grandma, can I have dessert before dinner? She said, I am not your grandma, sweetie, and my sister ran away crying. This story is so prime and I'm so excited to tell it. I used to do musicals. Like singing, dancing musicals. My brother came to a performance and was at the greeting line afterwards. He goes up to the lead actress in the show and says, great job, congrats, what a show, to which she responds, oh, I wasn't in the show, actually it was my twin sister. But you were fantastic. To which my twin brother says, I wasn't in the show either. And that's when the actual lead actress and I walk up wondering why they both look so damn confused. I've been laughing about it for years. Edit, thanks for the silver, now I can say I've gotten an award for answering wrongly after misreading a prompt, haha. They're married now, right? I think this one is my favorite just for the simplicity of it. My twin brother died in a car wreck and my family suggested that I should date his girlfriend because, grief, I guess. Real fucking awkward, mom. That's a fucked up thing to say. I'm not the twin, but I was dating a guy on and off for years, long distance, and eventually came to find out that the guy the first had been on and off dating was fuggin' his twin brother and his twin brother's wife. I couldn't believe it at first, but then a whole lot of things started to make sense, the more I thought about it. I'd been friends with him a solid 15 years, and in that whole time he never really dated anyone but me. But he spent so much time with his twin brother and even more with his twin brother's wife. We're no longer dating. Eventually came to find out that the guy the first had been on and off dating was fuggin' his twin brother and his twin brother's wife. He was fuggin' his twin brother? I don't know how common this is, but I used to sort of be friends with a woman who was married to a twin and would brag about having 3-ways with him and his identical brother. Which I thought was weird as hell, but whatever. Was going down an escalator at a casino. Look across and see my brother. Get the excites and yell, hey bro. Start waving for his attention. Was waving to myself in a mirror. My twin did that at our work. He was walking to his car and looked in the window and saw me walking parallel to him and got excited and waved. He first was confused how I was waving at him at the same time, then realized it was just a reflection, haha. I like this one the best so far, lol. You fucking dumbass. Take my upvote. My sisters are twins. Their favorite story is when one of their boyfriends tries to show the wrong twin this weird ass mole on his butt cheek. Both sisters are extremely squeamish. So boyfriend thought it was just her being grossed out. Unfortunately, my dad walked in on him chasing the wrong twin around the kitchen with half of his butt hanging out. My dad just turned around and walked out. That boyfriend also had a thing for eating raw vegetables like onions, garlic, and potatoes. Edit. The raw vegetables thing was weird because he'd find them in the kitchen, and start snacking on them like they were apples or a cupcake. Garlic and onions are a thing, sure. But the potato was weird. He got the mole removed at both of my sister's requests. My sister and him broke up after she lost him at a mall and had him pages over the intercoms. He felt like a child. In her defense, he was on those little mall trains riding around and he had her car keys. They're still friends though. Sister's update on him. He's now a pediatric cancer doctor. He is a lovely weirdo and has since married a wonderful woman, has a full soccer team of kids. My sister and her husband had dinner with them last Christmas time. He really grew into his childishness, as it now helps him with his patience. Wife loves his silliness. He still eats raw potatoes though, so you can't win at everything. Edit 2. My sisters shared this to him. He says there's nothing wrong with eating raw vegetables, but the potatoes were originally a joke that started getting too big and became part of his identity. It made others laugh and made people around him open up more and be comfortable with who they were. Or so he claims. He says to do yearly mole checks. Have a friend or partner, but not your partner's twin, help you identify any concerning moles. Follow ABCDE on moles, asymmetry. Border, color, diameter, evolving. And wear sunscreen. I don't know why, but this made me crack up LMAO. Is their boyfriend Shrek? Not embarrassing, but my twin sister is dating a guy that friend-zoned me. Edit. I'll add some context. I really liked this one guy. Super nice and funny and smart, and he was pretty cute too. I confessed that I liked him and got friend-zoned. It stung and he stopped talking to me after that, which totally sucked. A month later or so my sister told me about the same guy and how they both liked each other. I was pretty sad about it, not gonna lie, but they've been dating for almost 3 months now and they're a cute couple. It does sting when she tells me how great they're doing and how he is always at our house, but she's happy, so it's okay. Another edit. I'm not mad at my sister. I love her. I'm so happy she found someone that likes her for her true self and her uniqueness. Sometimes things happen, and it can suck, but that's just how life is, y'all. At least he isn't going just for the looks. Not a twin, but I had a pair of teachers at my middle school who were identical twins. They tended to dress similarly and I spent a lot of time confused as to how they could move around the school so quickly until someone told me there were 2 of them, and that they were twins. This was right before one of them got pregnant though, so I would have figured it out eventually. I used to ride around a lake and there was this buff dude running laps opposite direction all the time. For so long I thought that fugger was super fast, like I must have always ran into him during cooldown section, but man, I'm hitting 12 miles per hour on average and 20 in the flats, and I'd always run into him again at the halfway mark. For months I thought this fugger was just dropping the hammer after I rounded a bend. I started riding harder and harder, then one day I noticed at some point he must have changed shorts, cause he was in gray at the first pass. Then I figured it out, they were twins and one of them fugged up on the shorts color that day. Every day they went out the running roughly in sync to get some exercise and fug with people. My twin brother was dating this girl in high school and I had a class with the girl who would become my best friend. We didn't talk in high school and she would always get confused when she saw my twin with his girlfriend right after the class we just had together and wonder how I changed so fast. She still never guessed that it was because I had a twin until after she graduated and met me. Lol. Excuse me ma'am, have you lost your baby? I went to a funeral of a friend's father. I had no idea that the deceased had an identical twin. It felt really strange to see the guy in the coffin sat at the front row of the church. Must have been even weirder for him. Saw my identical male twin naked in high school. His wiener is much larger than mine, no homo, but we even compared them once and his was definitely larger. Any other twins have this problem? My penis is much bigger than my identical twin sister's, even though she's a few years older than me. I'm pretty sure we are the same size there, but somehow the bastard is like 1.5 to 2 inches taller than me. We were preemies and I was in the hospital for a few months, so that is my only guess as to why. We are identical. My twin brother and I are identical. We agreed years ago that we would never compare our members because it would give one of us too much power over the other. While we wait for serious replies, how many sets of twins did you guys have at your school? In elementary school, there were 3 sets of twins and 1 set of triplets in my grade. Pretty insane. Edit. I believe my class size was around 100 or so. We had 1 set in elementary school. One day in 5th grade, our lunch table group hatched a plot to swap them once we went back to class. There were 2 5th grade teachers and obviously, there was 1 twin in each classroom. So we executed it perfectly and after 15 minutes of class resuming we just couldn't contain our laughter anymore. Shit was the funniest thing ever in the moment. We were cackling like baboons and my teacher has the most what in the absolute fug look plastered to her face before we told on ourselves. Both teachers were impressed with our deception. My brothers got their pictures in the paper as one of 9 sets of twins in their elementary school. They thought it would be fun to do a mirror image shot with 1 twin on the right and other on the left of the center line. My brothers were relegated to the outside edge of the pic with a boy-girl set of twins. We could not even find shirts that matched for the picture. They were different sizes and had different interests and friends. The least twin-like twins I have ever encountered. I tried to date this girl from class and we were going out on dates and everything, but out of nowhere she stopped talking to me because her friends saw me with another girl, my twin sister, at the movies and thought I was playing her, but they didn't know I have a twin sister. What happened afterwards? Did things end there? Dad's friend is a twin. Lives in Chicago. His twin brother lives in Boston. On the same day, both twins fell off a ladder and broke the same leg. There was a fucked up story about the twins in my country. 2 baby girls were swapped in hospital, and one twin came back home with other family. Their daughter stayed with her twin sister. Girls were completely different, but the family thought they are just not identical twins. They found out the truth when all 3 girls were in high schools. The real twins were constantly called differently and strangers would approach them and say hi. They lived in a relatively small town, so finally some common friends organized their meeting. Although they look identical, they are completely different people, e.g. one of them likes metal music and wears black clothes. The story didn't end up well, although they sued the hospital. Both families are devastated by the whole story. There was an almost identical, or is it the same, case in Poland. The only difference was that the town wasn't that small. The weirdest part was that when 2 twins met by chance they thought it was super funny, and were hanging out with each other for months before it occurred to them to talk to either parents. Niece try porn producers, writers. My grandma and her sister were twins. Her sister was going to be a nun so couldn't be involved in any affairs. Some guy asked the sister out, who sent my grandma in her place, tasked with ending the date poorly. I'd like to say there's a funny ending that the guy is my granddad, but he's not, he's just some random dude. So your grandma's sister was a sister, who sent her sister out with a mister who never kissed her? I'm not a twin, but dated one of 2 twin brothers in high school. The other twin also had a girlfriend at the school. One day, someone in my class pulls me aside to nervously tell me he thinks my boyfriend is cheating on me. He was fairly new at the school and didn't know yet there were twins. It gave us all a good laugh when the story got around and the guy was pretty relieved to hear there was no cheating going on. Okay, but shout out to that guy for seeing what he thought was a bad situation and taking immediate action on it. My twin brother went out to pick up some wine and his girlfriend, at the time, came over and thought I was him. She was probably really horny, but without hesitating she began to kiss me and it took me by surprise, to the point where I was frozen in shock. I was about to get her off me, but that was when he walked in. I was about to get her off. Nice. Me. Oh. I, too, have seen that porno. I'm not a twin, but I knew some in HS. There were these 2 identical girls who were your kind of typical slutty experimental girls, and they revealed to me they would practice making out on each other. Additionally, they shared a boyfriend at some point without telling him they were 2 separate people. But when he found out, he was real upset because if they were lying about that, then what else was going on behind his back? Apparently a lot of practicing. My dad and uncle are twins. 2/3 times a year they'll show up to dinner or they'll be at each other's houses wearing the exact same outfit, only different brands. At first it was funny, but now we know it just happens. People mix them up all the time, multiple times a month they're telling people they're not the other, haha. Acquaintances and work associates have thought they're having an affair. My dad was confronted once and had to explain to the guy, who was a couple drinks in apparently, that he's not his brother. An actual story from when they were kids. They're almost 3 years and share a room with 2 wooden frame twin beds. That Christmas they got a plastic tool chest toy set thing. My grandma says it wasn't more than 3 weeks after Christmas when she goes into their room and the beds are completely taken apart. The head and footboard bolts were removed, the slats were removed and separated. They had no idea how it happened. My grandpa called up the company handyman who put it back together. Couple days later, same exact thing, only my grandparents are pissed now. They got rid of the wood bed frames and got 2 metal cots with the springs, which lasted about a week. My grandma walks into their room and found one of the beds completely taken apart, each spring removed. The twins, though they were working together on the second cot, one of them was grabbing the fabric and pulling it to ease the tension and the other was using the back of the plastic hammer to pry out the spring. They ended up losing tool chest privileges. My little brother and sister are twins and both of them have multiple flat spots on their heads, not noticeable through their hair. This is because before they were born they would headbutt each other inside of my mother. The doctor said a lot of the kicking she felt were actually headbutts. I was with my twin brother at the supermarket this one time, and judging from this story I'm guessing that obviously we look the same from the back, but not exactly the front because I'm a female. My brother's girlfriend was shopping at the same store as us that day and comes up behind me and smacks my bottom saying, "Hey love." Jokingly I turn around and say it back. The look on her face made me regret what I did. When I was a baby, my dad was supposed to take my brother to a doctor's office because he was sick and he took me instead. My dad realized that it was me and got my brother to the doctor's. Turns out he just had a cough. My twin brother is gay, so early in high school, before people knew he had a twin, I was groped by a gay man. My cousin married a twin, accidentally groped the wrong two shy at their wedding reception in front of both families. No alcohol involved, but there were some tempers and some tears. I don't buy it. Wedding dresses are kind of conspicuous. Not a twin, but I was dating one. They shared a bedroom. We were at an age that we'd still live at home. I walked in on my twin, fresh out of the shower. She was butt naked and stood with her back to me, so I walked up and grabbed her from behind, pulling her closer to me when she asked, "Alwyn_wrong twin, our secret, yeah. Sorry about that. Bye." Basically all of these stories are about identical twins. I'm a guy who has a twin sister and we don't look anything alike. I'm a dead ringer for the guys in my mom's family, and both my twin and little sister favor my dad's family. On top of the obvious low effort "lol you fug or twin" bullshit, it really has only been a positive for me. I'm pretty awkward, and having someone to always talk to and someone around to give me an excuse to start talking to girls etc. was always a big plus. We made our own language when we were little and have so many memories. I feel like this should say identical twins. There's not much fraternal twin partner shenanigans. Fraternal twins are twins too.